Hi, my name's Venus O'Hara, and in this video I'm going to be talking about free bleeding. Free bleeding is basically not using any menstrual products when you have your period. I've been a free bleeder for almost 2 years now, and when I started I had no idea that it was called free bleeding. But before I tell you about my experiences with free bleeding, here is a little disclaimer. By making this video, I'm not trying to promote free bleeding. I think everyone should do what's right for them. And I just want to raise awareness about it really, because when I was Googling free bleeding, I didn't find that much information about it. Well, I didn't find many positive experiences about free bleeding, and I wanted to share mine, which has been very, very positive. But first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my periods. Well, I've had all sorts of periods in my life. I've had heavy periods, irregular periods. I used to take the pill for many years, so the period was very regular. And now I'm completely natural. My periods are very regular and pain-free, which is wonderful. And they're quite light. They last about 3 or 4 days, 4 or could be 4 or 5. Before I was a free bleeder, I used to use pads. I don't like tampons because I had a very bad experience with a tampon a few years ago, but that's a different story entirely. So after this bad tampon experience, I was very happy using pads for several years. But then in 2016, I went to the supermarket and my favourite brand of sanitary towels was only available with some awful perfume. And anyway, I bought them anyway. And from that moment on, I noticed that every time I had my period, I had irritation the last few days, and it was almost unbearable wearing a sanitary towel, the plastic, the heat. It was just, I just felt like it was absorbing all of my nectar. It just felt like it was really drying me out, and it was very, very uncomfortable. I'd never noticed anything like that before this, before they were available with perfume, and they already have lots of chemicals on them anyway, but now with this added perfume I just found that it wasn't good for me. I went to my gynecologist and everything was fine, and well, it wasn't fine really. Well, I had a checkup and everything was fine. So it seemed to be some irritation from the sanitary towels. So I decided one day to just stop using them and see what happens. And I'm able to do this because I work from home, and that's a massive influence. I don't think I could be a free bleeder if I worked in an office. So basically I work from home and I wear dark clothes. And my periods currently are really pain-free and very regular and quite light. And in the last couple of years as well, or the last 3 or 4 years, I've changed my diet a lot. I've been a vegetarian for many years, and then in the last few years I've been eliminating dairy products. So I'm basically 98% plant-based, and that has had a huge influence on my periods. Now they are totally pain-free. In fact, I don't even have any painkillers in my house. Working from home and having pain-free, relatively light periods, that makes me a perfect candidate for free bleeding. And so what do I do? So when I have my period, it's not like blood coming gushing out and staining everything. It's not that bad actually. I find that I go to the toilet more often, so at that moment then a lot of blood comes out, but there is not as much staining as you would think really. And so I think maybe I feel like it's like I'm keeping it in somehow, and then it's going wow when I go to the toilet. And even at night time, which is really strange, I put a dark towel on my bed, but I don't wear any underwear. I think I want my vagina and my vulva to breathe. I think that's really important. And it's not that bad either. There's not that much staining at all, but as I said before, when I go to the toilet then it's like a lot of blood comes out. So ever since I've been free bleeding, it's a few months after free bleeding, then I discovered that it was called free bleeding. And then I started researching about it, and I found it was, and some of the stuff I found was a bit kind of negative really. One thing that's fantastic about free bleeding, according to my own experience, is that now my periods tend to be a day shorter, and the transition from, let's say, period to being cunnilingus ready is a lot faster. So that's one amazing advantage of free bleeding in my own experience. But I think everyone's got to do what's right for them. I understand that free bleeding is not going to be the right solution for anyone, especially if you work in an office or out and about. But fortunately for me, it's just a question of wearing dark clothes, keeping clean, of course, and going to the toilet quite frequently. So following those rules, it's quite easy. People often ask me about the menstrual cup, and I think that's wonderful for people. I know lots of people who have tried it and they really like it. For me personally, I'm not interested in trying the menstrual cup because I'm not convinced about how you would empty it in a public space and keep it hygienic. And also, I don't like the idea of the blood just staying inside you for a few hours. I'd rather be natural and just let it flow and let it leave my body freely. Let me just see a couple of questions that I've had. How does it not stain everything you come into contact with? Have you ever tried cloth menstrual products? I haven't tried cloth menstrual products, but I definitely would. In fact, that's something I would like to look into in the future, because I think then I could possibly do free bleeding in public, or if I'm not at home. I do still go out and have coffees, and I even go to the gym when I'm free bleeding, but it's but also I go to the toilet, or I go to the bathroom about once an hour when I'm on my period. And strangely enough, I've not ruined loads of clothes because of my free bleeding. It's not actually that bad. Anyway, I hope this answers your questions about free bleeding. And if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.